In this adjustment lesson, we're going to learn about our color balance adjustment. So let's go ahead and grab our F4 and download. And then we'll open it in Photoshop. So one of the downsides of shooting in fluorescent lighting is if your camera is not set to the right mode, you end up with a very yellowed image. So what we want to do here, you can see it's actually, again, a pretty good picture. Obviously, we would do our sharpen just to sharpen things up, but clearly we have an issue. If we were to put this next to any of our other photos on a spread, it's going to look really distinct in the fact that it is yellow. So in order to make this a little bit more presentable, we are going to use our color balance adjustment. So what I want to do is, once again, I encourage you to use your adjustments on your panel so that we have the option to always edit it later on. So our color balance adjustment actually looks like a little scale. It is on the second row, the second icon in, and go ahead and click on that. And then what we have here is 3 different sliders. So you can actually adjust, if you choose the drop-down menu, you can actually adjust shadows, midtones, and highlights. So I just want to talk briefly about what each of those are. The shadows are the darkest parts of the image. The midtones are obviously in the middle, and then the highlights are the lightest part of that image. So I always start with the midtones to see how that goes first. It also happens to be the default for Photoshop, so that's helpful. So because of the fact that our image is very yellow, I'm going to come down to my last slider down here, and I'm going to pull it towards the blue side to start taking out some of that yellow. And now we can always go back and edit these. This is why I appreciate the ability to use the adjustment layer instead of our other way. So as I drag, you can see that I actually get almost a little bit of purple and a little bit of red in the image. So I'm going to drag this a little bit more toward the green. And then I'm going to drag this one a little bit more toward the cyan side of things. And then I'm going to switch over and I'm going to go to my highlights. And I'm going to see if I can't get those to kind of tone down a little bit of the yellow as well. And that didn't affect the rest of my image so much, so I'm going to leave that. Actually, I got a little bit of purple in there, so I'm just going to drag over just a tish on the magenta green slider. And then I'm going to check my shadows. And once again, I'm going to use my last slider and pull a little bit more towards the blue. Not very much. I don't want to over exaggerate it. And then I'm going to close. And then I'm going to hide and show this adjustment layer. And you can see the difference. I wouldn't say that it's perfect. I think it still has a little bit of a yellow undertone. But we managed to take out the majority of this. Okay. So the color balance is a really, really powerful tool, and I would encourage you to use it as much as possible, because putting a really yellow image in the yearbook, I mean, that doesn't look very good. This is not a very great image to put in the book. In terms of color, great picture of the kids. They've got their broom gear on, looks awesome. We want to use it. However, it needs some photo retouching, as we did with our color balance, to be able to get it to look that good. So once again, I'm just going to close this and show you one more time. We use our color balance adjustment. It opens in the layer. It defaults to the midtones. And again, you just make those adjustments as you see fit. Check and see what color you see most pronounced. For me, it's yellow, so I immediately try to get rid of some of that yellow. And in doing that, I happen to get a little red, so I try to remove the red and a little bit of the purple, and then I switch and I adjust my shadows and my highlights. Once you're finished, you do the same thing. You can save it. Just like our brightness contrast adjustment, when you save, it's going to default to a Photoshop file because you do have more than one layer. If you're happy with the way things look, I would save it as a JPEG to keep the file size down. If you feel like you're going to need to edit it again, then obviously you would want to switch it and keep it as a Photoshop file so you can edit that layer. So that's the color balance adjustment. You can close this down. We aren't going to use it anymore. And we'll head over to our next photo retouching video.